Antique. You don't need antique or vintage in your titles. People know. I just tell people antique or vintage, and I don't think it helps. Welcome to SMPostcards. Today I have an agenda right here I always put up, so you can always look at the front of the video and you can tell what I'm talking about if you're looking for something in my other videos. Always go through in the beginning what's sold. I sold 12 postcards today. I sold a lunchbox and a couple things out of Ko-Fi. So we'll talk about that first. Won't take too long. A lot of Navy ships went out today. Then I got a deep dive. San Francisco postcards. All of us see California postcards, and San Francisco is one of them that I see all the time. The trolley cars and stuff like that. So we're going to do a deep dive on San Francisco postcards. And then I got a new segment I created. It's what would you do? It's basically, it's a scenario. What would you do? I know what, I'll give you my opinion, what I think about it, but I'm going to show you something that I found, and you figure out what would you do, and then we'll see what actually happened. And that's during that section. This one's interesting to me because I've had some experience with this, and when we get there it'll be interesting. And then at the end I always grab some viewer comments out of the YouTube and email to talk about more ad-libbed. But let's go and get started here on what's sold on eBay. Again, I sold 12 cards. I'm kind of excited. This was a pretty good sales day. First person bought 2 cards for $8.54. They bought a standard size Chrome card. It's a publisher card of the USS Keat, K-E-T-E, SS 369. That's a submarine. Right there. And I gotta keep these in order so I don't screw them up. And then USS Redfin, SS 272. So this must have been a submariner. He bought 2 of those for $8.54. Next one sold for $5.89. This is the City Hall Avenue from City Hall. City Hall Avenue from City Hall, Norfolk, Virginia. Probably a Navy person because Norfolk is home to a big naval base. This is a white border card. I see this type of thing on the back on white borders a lot. It kind of triggers me to check if they're white border. So it's smooth finish, got it on there, and that's a white border. And that's sold for $5.89. Next sold another Navy ship, USS England, DE 635. Must be a destroyer or something. Publisher card. Right there, the club that I bought these from bought cards from a manufacturer as well. And that sold for $4.75. Next one's an undivided back card. It's got a little, I call it attic burn on it. And you'll see it here in a second. This is, oh heck, what is it? Some building in New Orleans. I can't really read it, but it's got a writing tab. When you see that, it's undivided back. But look at the corners. They basically were in an album, and that paper made little triangles. I never really see that mess with price or anything like that. 1904 is when this was posted. Remember, from 1901, 1907 is when you'll see these. But that's a little bit thinner than a 3.5. But that's just the card. That sold for $4.75. Next is a Chrome card of Faring Tavern, Wareham, Massachusetts. It's a house. Doesn't look like a tavern to me. It looks like a house. $4.75. Next person bought 2 things, and I wasn't too sure what this was. This is the Tower Shielding Facility, Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Now remember, Oak Ridge, atomic bomb. If you haven't seen the video, I did one about atomic bombs on postcards. And Oak Ridge National Laboratories, where they did that. They're on top of this is Tower Shielding Facility. They're up there inspecting a tower or doing something. Vertical card up and down. And then they bought, I had another one of the same thing, Tower Shielding Facility number 2. Look at that one. Right on there. Both of those sold for $11.50 together. Sold another aircraft carrier, USS Theodore Roosevelt, CVN 71, going through the Suez Canal Transit. Pretty neat card. It's got a little bowing to it. You see that, the way it was stored these years? That's just how the club stored them. and they're getting better over the years. I put them in tighter boxes, but I'll never get all that curl out of them. If you put it in a sleeve, people are going to like to see that picture going through the Swiss Canal. $4.75. USS Lake Champlain, CBA 39, another aircraft carrier. Published card, 3.5 by 5.5 standard, $4.75. This is a print USS Nevada BB 36, semi-gloss front, matte back, vertical card, Nevada, and that's big guns on there, so that's a battleship. $4.75. And this is a patio, La Placita, a Fonda Hotel, Santa Fe, New Mexico. A patio at the hotel. Linen card, I can feel it from here. Got the waffle texture, unposted, $4.75. So that's all the postcards that sold, and that was 12 cards for $73.37. So $73.37. If I can take that and divide it by 12, I get a average sale price of $6.11. So that's one of my goals that went up. I didn't sell 16 cards that I want to sell. I'm at 12. For the year, I'm about 12 or 13. I'm not hitting that 16. Had some slow months. Hopefully by next 4 months, 3 months, it'll grow up, but I don't know if I'm going to hit that 16 I want to do. I want to do $80 a day. I'm definitely over that. I've sold some pretty good cards, and I'm over that for the year. Only did 73 days, so I didn't hit that. But then I sold the lunchbox. This is Apple's Way. Does anybody remember that TV show? That TV show was from February 1974 to January 1975. It ran on CPS, where it aired. I don't remember that. I was 74, I was 10 years old. I don't remember Apple's Way on there, but it's got a little bit of fading on there. That's what brought the price down. A little surface rush doesn't matter, but sold that for $25. Then I sold a 100 card lot in Ko-Fi, and then I sold a kit, starter kit, that shows all the eras of postcards and stuff. And what else did he buy? Oh, and he bought the labels. It's these type of labels that I can print out for you. If you want to use the inventory method where you use a SKU number, I can print these out. I have the Dymo thing. I can get you 1,500 labels on there. They're in the Ko-Fi store. On there, you don't go out and buy a $120 Dymo thing. I can just tell me the starting number, and I'll rip off 1,500 labels for you and send them out to you. So there's a cost to it and stuff like that, but people enjoyed those. It makes it easier for them if you use that inventory method. So all together with the $25 lunchbox, the Ko-Fi stuff was $78.50. That's not including shipping. Shipping in Ko-Fi, I don't add that in there. It doesn't go to my $80 goal lunchboxes or Ko-Fi. That's just postcards, and I didn't meet it. But for the day, I did $176.87 with all the stuff I showed you. So not a bad day. All the little things helped out. Put some money in the bank going into the end of the month here and stuff like that. But that's my sales for today. Deep dive. San Francisco postcards. I remember the commercial Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat, or the TV show with Michael Douglas and stuff, Streets of San Francisco, where they're jumping up and down and stuff like that. That reminds me, we spent a week out in San Francisco a while ago, a few years ago, before all the COVID stuff and that, and we stayed right on Nob Hill, right by Lombard Street, the crook of the street, and we rode the cable cars and walked around. That's what we used to do. We did Albuquerque, Philadelphia, and we just find an Airbnb and just walk and take cabs or whatever, see the cities. But I'm going to give you some history about San Francisco. There's one card that concerns me a lot, and I don't jump on them right away, and we're going to talk about this after I get through some of the sell-through rate and pricing about those types of cards you want to be careful with that I found from my experience. But I'm going to go through some history of San Francisco, and while I do that, I'm going to show you some postcards I found from San Francisco. Here we go. San Francisco, founded in 1776, started as a Spanish mission and a military fort. Known originally as Yerba Buena. I'll put that right down here. I think I said it right. It was a small settlement focused on agricultural and trade. The city's growth took off after the United States took control in 1846 and renamed it San Francisco. Just a few years later, the California Gold Rush of 1849 brought a huge influx of people seeking fortune, transforming the city into a bustling metropolis almost overnight. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, San Francisco continued to grow and develop. The construction of iconic landmarks like the cable car system and the Golden Gate Park helped shape the city's unique character. However, in 1906, a devastating earthquake and fire destroyed much of the city. Despite this tragedy, the people of San Francisco quickly rebuilt, and the city emerged stronger and more vibrant than before. Throughout the 20th century, San Francisco became known for its diversity and progressive spirit. It played a key role in the countercultural movement of the 1960s, particularly in the Haight and Asbury neighborhood, which became the epicenter of the Summer of Love. Hippies. Today, San Francisco is famous for its tech industry, historical landmarks, and diverse communities, making it a major cultural economic hub on the West Coast. San Francisco postcards capture the city's iconic landmarks and vibrant culture and miniature works of art, featuring scenes like the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island. We actually saw that, that was cool. And the bustling streets of Chinatown, and we walked through there too. These postcards offer a snapshot of the city's charm and beauty. Collectors and tourists treasure them as mementos, preserving memories of their visits and sharing the views with friends and family. Whether showcasing the city's colorful Victorian houses, San Francisco postcards are a timeless keepsake of this unique and dynamic city. Now, I got 3 facts here about San Francisco. San Francisco has a house entirely made of tombstones. During the 1930s, a resourceful man named Aslam St. John built his home using discarded headstones from cemeteries that were relocated. The eerie and unique structure still stands today, a testament to our unconventional building materials. The city's famous fog has a name, Carl, K-A-R-L, Carl. Locals have personalized the fog, even creating social media accounts where Carl the Fog shares humorous updates about rolling in and out of the city, adding a quirky personality to San Francisco's weather. Who knew? San Francisco once had a law requiring people to wear ugly masks if they were deemed ugly in public. Try to do that today. The bizarre ordinance enacted in the 1860s was intended to protect public sensibilities, but thankfully didn't last long. It's now a strange footnote in the city's colorful history. So that was a little history on San Francisco. It's California is unique in itself, but San Francisco, San Diego, I did a lot of work in the San Francisco area. I used to run service out there from Sacramento all the way down to Southern California when I was out there. A lot of the companies I worked for during the internet boom and Y2K and stuff were based in San Jose area, San Francisco, and stuff like that. So I worked for a lot of California-based companies because I was in tech, and that's where it was. So I know pretty well the area. I probably couldn't get around today. It's been a while since I've been out there. But do they sell? Does San Francisco sell? Always the question we have. Little chart here, real quick. I've been going through this for a while now. Everybody knows what it is. If you've been watching, don't pick up the red. You will though. You'll actually, by accident, you'll think a card's cool, and you get home and do the sell-through rate, and it's red. They'll sell, but they just won't sell as fast as the average and high where I work, the 4 to 10%. And then while I'm looking for the high and average, I find 11 plus, the very highs, and stuff like that. That's what this chart does for me. It's just a range. I'm not going to get down scientific. It's like the weather. It's a probability. Is it going to rain today? There's a good chance, but it might not, or it might do more. So you never know, but you got to have something data-driven to help you with your decisions. Just saying this card's a real photo postcard is going to do great, it might not. It might be something on it or whatever. Or if you got a picture of this building, you know, you think it's the greatest thing in the world, you get home and it's just an average card. There's so many there's 10,000 listed out there. That will help you by learning how to look for things you want. So how I calculate sell-through rate, I go into eBay, I typed in postcard San Francisco, click on sold, which clicks completed, gives me 4,500 sold in the last 90 days. I divide that by 110,000. That's how many San Francisco postcards out there. And you think you're going to be on top of the market and compete with all 110,000? It's an exhausting adventure. Just list them what you need, the best price you can put out there that's within, as we're going to see, and get there. Because they go out there and try to compete with 110,000 postcards. It's crazy. You got 99-cent auctions. You got $20 cards that are worth $4. Pricing's all over the place. Price for what you need and what you paid for the card. So you take 4,500 divided by 110,000 times 100, 4% sell-through rate. Look at the chart real quick. Lower end of the average. It's basically an average card, low-end average card. There's a lot of them out there. They're flooded. But you want to bump that 4% up and see if it's a good number, a gut check kind of. So I went out there. You got San Francisco, 4%. You got Postcard San Diego, 4%. So it's right there. You got Portland, Oregon, another West Coast big city, 3%. It's right there. And Boston on the East Coast, 3%. So I think 4% will hold. It's a average card. I'm not gonna, if I go out and buy a box of cards and half of it's San Francisco or in there in California, yeah, I'm not paying top dollar because those cards are gonna, I'll list them, but they're gonna sit and I'm not gonna get top dollar for them. So if I was gonna pay $100 for a box of cards, my number's now 50 or 60 because they're gonna sit. I'm not gonna get top dollar on there. So that's what this can do. And that's sell-through rate. So that's done. Job done on that. I know they're average. I might pick them up, I might not. Depends on what's on the card. So it's one of those you look at it, no. But then I go out there and we look at pricing. So I find, this one I found some extreme prices. In the last few videos I haven't been able to find like extreme. They've stayed in the average area. This one's got some extreme ones, some good ones. And I picked those out. And I got 3 here, and I call them extreme pricing. This is the high watermark, not the $1,500, $2,000 ones. I come down a little bit because you don't see those outliers all the time. But this first one's a 1909 postcard, San Francisco Seals. First Pacific Coast League Championship unused. So they're seals, but they got human faces on them, and they look like they're a First Public Coast League. That's a pretty unique card. $850 of someone back in 1909 photoshopping, putting stuff on there like that. That's a unique card. $850. Then this is the one we're going to talk about. This is a postcard, San Francisco 1906 earthquake, fire destroyed. It's a winery, owner, bust, whatever. $100, one bid. But is that a real card? That's what we're going to talk about. On there, they put fire in it and stuff like that. Artists did some things to these cards, and there's reproductions of those. The 1906. There's a lot of it out there. Then the last one I put up here was Custom Alaska San Francisco 49ers plane. I had to put that in there. I like those planes with all the teams on there and stuff. They got best offer for $80. What did they get, $70, $65 for this thing? Of a plane with a team name. Loyalty to the teams. So everything about San Francisco, there is some good cards out there, even though that they're average. So price and sell-through rate. So there is some good ones out there. You just gotta check and use your gut on that. But then you get down to the normal average stuff. What do you find? And I took the highest, when it comes down into the average world, what were the high watermark? So like this one, this is 1960s, 70s, Dewey's Bar, Monument Saloon, the St. Francis, San Francisco, 1995. It's a nice shot of a bar, so $20. That's the high end. A lot of the San Francisco cards sell $4 to $5, guys. So these are just the top, what you think you might get if you want to take a look. Then this is one of those reward cards. I've had people send this in for show and tell. A person had some reward cards. I guess when they put a reward out for people, they get these cards printed up and you get a reward. And this is an automobile stolen reward postcard from 1906. Peerless San Francisco. $15, one bid. Do any of you guys have some of those reward cards? I was thinking about doing a video on it, but I just don't see enough information to really dig into it yet. But if someone's got a site or something, more information about that, let me know. But I'm seeing them more and more. And remember what I said with postcards. Once you start doing, you become more aware. With these reward cards, someone turned me on to them. Now I'm starting to see them more and more. I'm starting to identify them. But a reward card, $15. Antique. You don't need antique or vintage in your titles. People know. I just tell people antique or vintage. I don't think it helps. Ephemera. Same thing. It's in the categories. There's no reason to put that type of stuff up there. Postcard posted 1915. You can put that there, but you can also put it in the item specifics where it's going to get searched as well. Don't waste your time, I tell people. This is the Formosa's Tea, San Fran, Washington. Is San Fran, Washington, San Francisco? So my query picked this up. But where is this? Is there a San Fran, Washington? So I went on Google Maps and tried to find a San Fran, Washington. That's why I kept it here, because it came up. They keyword stuffed this thing so much and all that stuff, they didn't have room to put San Francisco in there. And I'm not for sure what Washington is. The only thing I see a lot of is San Francisco to Washington State route, train routes, airplanes, Southwest, and stuff like that. But I didn't see a San Fran, Washington. So I'm not for sure if they used all their room for that antique ephemera postcard posted, and they didn't have room to write San Francisco all the way out and stuff like that. So that's why I left there. But $12, $13, $14 for that card. But so when you do your queries, you'll get stuff like this. I don't go down the rabbit holes that often on them. I just throw them out. Someone made a mistake. I make mistakes and stuff like that. But keyword stuffing, using up all your room, and then at the end they couldn't do it. That's my conclusion on that. So San Francisco, the deep dive on those, sell-through rate, average card, average pricing. There is some, like always with different postcards, there is some that will do better. You just gotta know what to look for. But I wouldn't pay a lot for a lot of. But one of the cards I get concerned about, and I don't jump on, it's a disaster card, if you want to categorize it, is the San Francisco 1906 earthquake. Now I'm going to read a little history about the earthquake and a little bit about the postcard and what they did with it. And while I do that, I'm going to show you some postcards out there. There's one in there, I think it's at the end, with the fire. Now you tell me if that was an artist drawn or is that real. And it's on there. So here we go. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake, one of the most devastating in U.S. history, struck at 5:12 a.m. on April 18th with a magnitude estimated at 7.9. The quake shattered the city, but the real destruction came from the fires that raged for 3 days, fueled by ruptured gas lines and dynamited buildings. Over 80% of San Francisco was destroyed, and more than 3,000 lost their lives. In the odd twist, the city's feral parrot population, the parrots got away. Descendants of escaped pets survived the catastrophe, thriving amidst the ruins. So the parrots got away and out of there. The disaster ultimately reshaped, and Sal likes that. Sorry, I had to jump in here, but Sal heard me say parrot and he got excited. This disaster ultimately reshaped urban planning and earthquake science. After the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, a particular phenomenon emerged: fake or reprinted postcards. These postcards, often depicting exaggerated scenes of destruction or entirely fabricated images, were sold to tourists and collectors eager for a piece of disaster history. Some showed impossible scenarios like buildings sinking into the ground or streets swallowed by massive cracks. In some cases, photographers reprinted old earthquake images from other cities, passing them off as scenes from San Francisco. These postcards became an odd souvenir of the tragedy, blurring the line between historical documentation and sensationalism. So as we went through those postcards, did you see the one with the fire? To me, so this is why I don't jump on 1906 earthquake in San Francisco. Just because of that, I tend not to pick them up because there's just a lot of fakes. As I said, that there was a thing going on with that, and I don't have the skills to verify that, and not that I want to go down that rabbit hole. But be careful with the 1906 earthquakes, and that's the reason why. But that's the deep dive in San Francisco. Who knew? New segment. I just think up of these things. What would you do is the title of this one. Because that's what people ask me. Mark, what would you do? Mark, what would you do? And then when I ask people, Mark, or I would say, what would you do? And stuff like that. So I'm going to show you a listing here. And we're going to go through this. This was bought and sold on eBay. I didn't buy it. I don't know who did. But this is the type of stuff that you're going to see out there. And I'm going to make a determination on my part, and you tell me what you would do. I'll tell you what I would do, and you tell me what you would do and what you think. So here's the listing. It's 100,000 plus massive postcard collection. Not a small collection, massive. New old stock, plastic chrome. Plastic chrome was a manufacturer of postcards. Chrome postcards got a little bit of stuff on there. They did a pretty good job with it. It's got that little film on it you can peel off once in a while. New York State. Real photo, vintage find. Real photos? Keep that in mind. Now I'm just looking at the pictures here. I didn't call this buyer. I would have questions for him, but I probably wouldn't even be interested in it. But if you take $22,000 is what he was asking for, and he got best offer, and divided by 100,000, that's 22 cents a card. And there's a bunch of boxes there. 22 cents a card for a big lot like that. There is no way, number one, what would you do? What I do, I'm not paying 22 cents a card for that. That number's got to be down below 5 cents, even below, if I'm going to take that off someone's hands. But wanting $22,000. Now let's look at the description, and then I'll show you some more photos from this listing. Large collection of 100,000 brand new, unused postcards from a northeast gift shop near the Adirondacks that shuttered in the mid-1980s. They were a plastic chrome reseller. Each long box contains approximately 500 jumbo or 1,000 standard postcards, and there are over 150 boxes. Let me read that again. Each long box contains approximately 500 jumbo or 1,000 postcards, and there are over 150 boxes. There's 150 boxes from a manufacturer, which were ordered from the dealer and never displayed. Also included are several hundred postcard albums. That's key also. So there's some albums there that were separate collection or something. So that's good. Is it worth $22,000? Not yet. Note, these long boxes are very condition sensitive and are splitting due to age. They have protected the postcards well. And paper postcards, paper boxes. Okay, I'm getting red flags all over the place with this listing. More photos can be provided of this massive collection, offers considered. It'll fill a Sprinter van or similar sized cargo van, can drop off so they can deliver it, which is good. Shipping is possible at additional cost. I wouldn't want to ship all this. I wouldn't want to be the person to ship it either. Are you getting a picture of what I'm talking about here? Huge lot of postcards, new old stock, 150 long boxes. Even though they say there's more, I'm just going to take the 150. And here's the photo that was in there. So these are all the boxes. Now you can tell they're aged, but if you look at this, some of the cards are sticking out and stuff like that. The boxes look pretty well intact, but they are aged, and there's a little bit of water on one of them, but all of them, the other ones, don't look like they had any water and stuff. But one's got an open top, and you can see that they're sealed packets. They wrap them in this paper when they do 100 postcards. And here's the other picture. This is the one that turned me off there. The way they stack these are stacked way too high for a weight. Down in the bottom there, you can see where it's bulging out a little bit. So these cards are being too much weight. You don't stack stuff on pallets that high, to me. So I'm getting red flags, and just the way they're ripped open and stuff. And look at those pictures on the front. They're faded. Those are chrome postcards, plastic chrome. They're not real photo postcards. Plastic chrome in the 80s, if they shuttered back then, these are chrome postcards, plastic chrome postcards. So they're not real photo. And there's 150 boxes of these. I know, I went out and Terapeak. If someone sells something best offer, you can go to Terapeak and find out what they sold it. But I'm going to tell you what my thought is, what I would do. And you can put in the comments what you would do. So I'm going to pause here for just a second, or you can pause it and think about it, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you what I do. Okay, So I hope you put in the comments what you would do and what my thinking is. But my thinking right away is $22,000. That's way out. I wouldn't even make an offer. I wouldn't even insult the guy, make an offer. So I probably wouldn't even dig deeper. But interest in postcard, I would look at this. I don't like the way the boxes are stored. I don't like the age of them. I don't like that they're not what they're stating in real photo and stuff. I know the difference. Some fading stuff, and there's some water damage on some of them and stuff like that. I'm just not, it's too much. Another big thing is, he said there's 150 boxes. Now when manufacturers put postcards like this in a box, they're not going to sit there and give you an assortment. I have boxes of Navy ship cards, cases of them. They're all the same. I probably got 3 cases of Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier. I'll never sell them all. So we got 150 boxes from Plastichrome, new old stock. That means you got only 150 different postcards. You don't have a wide variety. Like the Navy ships I purchased, I got thousands of different Navy ships. They're different. I do have a lot of one because that's the way they purchase them, but I got all these other ones, thousands. So I have thousands of listings I can do. Here you got 150 listings, and you're going to put in there, what, 5,000 cards for Adirondack Sunset, and it's just going to sit there. You're never going to sell them all. So that's what the new old stock, this is what I would do, this is what I'm thinking, is they're not going to sell. Good thing is he can deliver it, but for 22 cents a card at the top, what would I offer him? I would pass. There's 150 cards here. Now they have the albums, which I would figure, you know, what did I figure? 2,000 cards maybe in those albums. So I got 2,150 cards. I can go out and buy that on eBay for $200 or $300 probably, or I can find them. So that's my thinking, is I wouldn't touch this because there's really 150 to 200 single cards in that whole mess, is what I'm thinking. I would have to talk to them to say, are they assorted boxes or something like that. But right away, the price, stuff, and you can tell this person is not a postcard person. So you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't know real photo postcards and stuff. So I'm not going to knock him on that as much. They probably got a storage unit or bought this from somebody and they're just trying to move it. I like people like that because they just don't have any value to themselves. They're not emotionally attached to it. So that's a good thing. The bad thing is, new old stock, a lot of stuff to deal with. So I went out to therapy and I found it. Someone paid $7,000 for this, plus $25 shipping. I don't know where that came from, but $7,000 is all they paid for it. So they got them down from the $22,000 down to $7,025. So let me break this down then. So $7,000, just figure that. That's 7 cents a card. So that's a lot better than 22 cents a card. Now you got to configure by looking at those boxes. I would say 20% of them aren't going to be able to sell. I would put it on the higher side there, 20%. So now you're at 80,000 cards. So it brings the price up 10 cents a card. Because I feel the way they've been moved around, the way they're stacked, there's going to be a lot of cards that on the edges and stuff that won't be able to get, you know, sellable. Plus there's only 150, 200 single different cards in my eyes. Now the albums have about 2,000 cards, maybe total altogether 200 different cards in 150 boxes, 200 boxes, 2,000. I pass. That's what I would do. It's just not a collection I would want on there. So be careful when you're doing new old stock and you get these boxes like this. They're probably all the same card. I have a lot of stuff like that and been into it, and the boats was one of them, but I was into a collection, got 2 boxes, and they were just the same card all the way through. I ended up selling giving away a lot of it, and I did some junk for scrappers and stuff like that, scrapbook people and junk journalists. I would never sell those, just like those Ronald Reagan cards. I'm never going to sell all those cards in my lifetime, but I'm not going to flood the market with them either. They're just going to sit in the closet as I need them, and they're all wrapped up in lots of 500 or 100. So they're in little bundles. Some are shrink wrapped, some's got the paper tape around them and stuff like that, like these do. So what would you do? Makes you think. New old stock, boxes, 150 cards, and you paid $7,000 for 150 cards. That's boom. That's basically what came to me right away. Is it's not doing that. What would you do? Now we're going to get into the comments. I pull these from email and YouTube. Some of the email ones, sometimes I'll just paraphrase and just grab a little bit of it. The first one's from Rebel Depot. I just picked up one of these cards in a bulk lot. He's talking about the pin cushion postcard video I did with the pin cushions on there. I had no idea it was a pin cushion card. A lot of people didn't. I don't know a lot about them. I haven't had a lot of them and stuff on there, so that's why I did the video, to learn more. Now we know more. I set it aside because I thought it was unusual having a small piece of cloth embedded in the card. It's an Easter card that doesn't reference pins or pin cushions at all in the text or graphics. Thanks for the video. Yeah, penny pokes is what they're called also. So be careful mailing those eBay standard envelopes. So I don't know what I don't get them that often. So, but when I do see them, there's some out there pretty good. You want to watch that video to learn a little bit more about them. Thanks, Rebel. Then Bell Postcards. I've only once come across one of the novelty cushion cards. That's the same thing with pin cushion card. Penny pokes. I am also retired and a part-time seller. I love the hobby in general more than selling aspect, but the supplemental money is okay too. Yeah, when you retire, you can't have a lot of financial stuff or you're going to be working forever. Debt and stuff like that. You got to get rid of a lot of that stuff. You want to start working on it. You're never too old to work on it. Then you got to find something to do. That's the biggest thing. Just sitting around doing stuff, it gets bored. So you got to find stuff. I do YouTube, I do postcards, I do some other things, I help my brother and stuff like that. I just keep busy. And the more you keep busy, keeps your mind sharp, keeps your body going, stuff like that. Just plan on doing something on there. And sometimes I think I had more time when I worked than I did when I retired on there. But supplemental money is good. Yeah, this does all my hobbies. My other stuff is paid, my personal stuff, that's all taken care of. This is all extra to us. But thanks, Bell. Then Fossil Forward Finds, Dr. Chris. I have not come across those cards, but they're definitely the type of thing I'd like to list. That's the wacky packages on their stickers. I have used the AI for Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook posts, but agree they suck for listings. Technical terms, suck. Yeah, they got to get better with the AI stuff. They're just grabbing out there. And if you want to watch that video about, I did examples of what it does. It's just pulling from the title and stuff like that. Nothing special. And it's just too wordy. And what I get from people and myself, it takes more time to verify what AI put in the description than it is to just move on. Because it puts in there excellent condition and stuff. I don't put any of that stuff in my descriptions. But thanks, Dr. Chris. Another person said, glad I found this channel. I was spending way too much time packing postcards that I sold in envelopes and thank you cards and putting thank you cards in heavier than needed envelopes. I went to what you do using Swift envelope, the EcoSwift, probably what they mean, with just a sleeve, and I have not seen anything negative in feedback from buyers or loss of sales. This saves me so much time and also believe saves money as well. Why did I do all that overpacking for years before? So you must have saw a video where all I do, and I've gotten it over the years down, is I just use one of these EcoSwift 6.5 by 4.5 self-sealing envelopes that cost about 12 to 14 cents a piece, depends how many you buy. I have some in the Ko-Fi store. Look in the video description below, and you can get a pack of 10. I'll mail them to you, whatever the cost is. And if you like them, I got them in the Ko-Fi store. You can get them on Amazon, EcoSwift itself, whatever. But if you want to try some, I have some in there, a 10 pack I think it is, and you can try them. But they're 6.5 by 4.5, does Continental Standard. I can put 3 to 4 cards in here for about an ounce. They don't get too stiff. But I put them in a little penny sleeve, a little Mylar sleeve, and I put it in there. I don't put thank you cards. And then I have a stamp. And I stamp the back with a little logo. It says SMPostcards, variety of collectible postcards, 50,000 plus postcards to choose from. Open carefully, postcard inside. I don't put anything in there. I just stamp that. I've had this stamp forever. I'm at 55,000 cards coming up, and I'm still nice and bright. These things last 20,000 stamps or something. So the only reason I changed, just I want to change something on there. But I put that in there and a sleeve, and that's it. There's no reason to put a stiffener for a $4, $5, $8 Chrome card and add more price to it and more time to you, is what I always say. And how you can gauge feedback, the only thing really gauge feedback on shipping is look in your feedback. Everybody says you ship great. Everybody gets that. Look at every postcard seller out there. Ship great, ship good, ship great, ship good. That's all the people put in there, on time. But look at the ones you get that says could have been packed better. If you get a lot of that, you're doing it wrong. There's something you need to change. And how do you figure out what to do? Go out there and buy 10 postcards from 10 different sellers and see if there's something out there. But there's no reason to overdo that, overtape boxes, none of that stuff. If you use the right tape, right boxes, right stuff, it'll be fine. But over the years, I was able to dig it down as far as I could. I wanted to protect it, and I wanted a little water-resistant envelope, something easy, self-sealed. Once you seal these, you're not getting these open without destroying the envelope. They're stuck. And the 6x4 label fits right on there from eBay standard envelopes. So why not use them? Now, if you're using those thicker eBay envelopes, the bigger white ones on the pull tabs, and putting cardboard in there, and you're putting all these things in there, you're over an ounce. You're at 2-3 ounces, and you're charging the customer more where everybody else is doing 1 ounce and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you've seen that and you're doing that. Not saying my way is the best, but that's my opinion on it. And maybe people can take that and do something different as well. But keep your costs down. Keep your time down. That's the biggest thing. Thanks. Last comment was, I tried reselling full time for 2 years. I was working harder than I had on a 9-to-5 job. I went back to a regular job and resell part-time now, and wow, the stress is all gone. I have so much time left to do things I want. Full-time reselling is hard. Yes, it is. It's difficult to do unless you have a major source of stuff coming in. And if it's all crazy stuff like storage units and like that, that's even more work. Cleaning it, going through it, sorting it, taking it to the dump. There's work. It's a full-time, more than a full-time job sometimes. So I always tell people, a business is going to pull 40, let's say a business pulls 40% profit. That means 60% is gone to pay expenses, yourself, or whatever, and you're going to put 40% profit in a business. Not 50, 60. It's harder when you get up to 50, 60. Some postcards, you can get up to that. But 40% is a good target. Just a target I use for discussions. If you want to make 40%, so if you want to make $40,000, which is 40% of $100,000, you have to sell $100,000 worth of stuff to make $40,000. You have to clean, list, pack, ship, and deal with all that $100,000 worth of stuff to make $40,000. So that's what I mean about how much stuff you got to go through to make that type of money. Now, some people can do it with a higher return. They buy something for $2 and sell it for $100 and stuff all the time, but they're still out there hunting for it and stuff like that. But most people are just, buying stuff at thrift stores and stuff, and it's constantly on their mind. That's the stress of it. Some months it goes up and down. People get crazy because eBay did this, eBay did that. No, it's just seasonal. If you're selling all winter coats and all of a sudden summer comes, you're not going to sell a winter coat probably as much as you will in October, November, December, and January and February here in Chicago. We don't wear coats until January. It's tough, but some people can pull it off. They're doing well with it. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm just saying if you're going to do it and you lost your job and something supplemental until you get something else, it's great. But if you're going to go full time, you're going to need the storage space, you're going to need room and stuff like that. I did it for a while. I was full time with toys, postcards. I had 3 storage, 4 storages, ton of money coming in, ton of money going out, running around every day. I mean, the post office had a separate van come over every day to pick up my stuff. That's how many boxes I had shipped out every day. That's a lot of work. I was up at 4 or 5 in the morning, till 9, 10 at night sometimes doing things. So yeah, you will, but there's stress with that. But I would say, using the money to pay my bills. I was just doing it to keep the business going. Just think if I had to pay my house payment with it. My God, the stress. So before you jump in there full time, make sure you talk to all the resellers that are full time. You got insurance, you got, all this other stuff. You need a good vehicle to get around and stuff like that. There's more cost in there. And if you sell stuff that can hurt somebody or plug in and stuff, do you have insurance of your stuff? I mean, if you had a fire in your house or a flood, I've heard people lost in collections and stuff they've had. There's more stuff into it on there, and then you got to pay taxes. A lot of people forget about taxes, the 15 or so % self-employment tax. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on to register your business, and he's absolutely right. Full-time reselling is hard, but people that do it, I commend them for it. Even if you do it part-time, I commend you, because there is money to be made. And it's great supplemental. Postcards are a great supplemental. If you're selling clothes, hard goods, toys, electronics, you go in and put 10,000 postcards up, you're going to get a few little sales there. It might bring in $5,000 a year. That pays the light bill, or your office space, or whatever, or get you a new computer or something like that. It takes a little bit of time to build up postcards, but you can do it. And if someone tells me no, I can't do something, that's probably when I go to do it. So, but full-time reselling is hard. Just be careful out there. That's all I got today. Check those San Francisco postcards. Be careful of the earthquake ones, because of what they did with the postcards and stuff afterwards. Just don't jump on them. Make sure they're authentic. I'm not an authenticator, so I just kind of stay away from them most of the time. I think I got some, but I just let it go. Here's some more fish. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.